Hi, so I have the 6 different pieces that go into making the face mask laid out here on the ironing board. This first piece, the red pieces that you see, are what are called the cheek pieces. They're the parts that go up against the inside of the mask on the cheek. This yellow plaid material is actually the outside of the face mask on both sides. And so that's going to be the part that you'll see when you're actually wearing it. And then these beige pieces or off-white pieces are the mouth or the face part of the mask, which is actually against your face, your nose and your mouth, on the inside of the mask when you're wearing it. These outside pieces, these two pieces will have to be sewn together, right sides together. And when we get to the sewing machine portion of this video, I will show you. You're going to take and you're going to stitch all the way along this curved part, the front part of the face mask. Right sides together, you're going to stitch 1/4 of an inch from the seam all the way along that. So I'm going to set those aside. Before we can go to the sewing machine, though, I have to show you that we need to press the cheek pieces and the face pieces. We need to hem these or turn them up. And so I've got the iron hot over here. I'm going to grab it and pull it into the camera. And see, I'm turning them up about 1/4 of an inch. It wouldn't have to be quite 1/4 of an inch. Along this straight side, the longest of the straight sides. And I just want to make sure it gets a nice crease on there. I'm going to be stitching that down on the sewing machine. And then I do the same thing with this piece. It's important that if you're sewing a whole bunch of these face masks at one time, that you make sure you keep the two pieces, cheek pieces, together for each mask. You're going to discover that you're going to see it here in a second, that these two are not reversible. In other words, they're not identical. One side curves up a little bit more and the other side is a little straighter, right? And if we hold that up to the or we line that up with the outside of the face mask, you can see how it's gonna line up there. Anyway, so those are pressed down. We have to do the same thing with these face pieces. Again, we want to take this straight edge that's going to line up with that other hemmed edge, and we want to turn it up a little bit before we sew it. And so I'm going to just press it up like this. And you know, I do a lot of these in a row, and so I can do a whole bunch of them at one time and line them all up on the ironing board and just keep going with the iron. Just keep that iron moving really slowly, gradually up the line. It's not really fussy how far these are turned up. I mean, this is just going to be on the inside of the mask, and nobody's really going to see this anyway, except you when you're putting it on, right? And so then those are turned up. Now, if you look at the mask itself, you'll see how these pieces line up with, or they kind of match up with the outside. That piece, and then you'll see this piece, and they are going to overlap like that much when you have them sewn on the inside of the mask, right? So these pieces are going to become the inside of the mask, right? And it'll look like that when we see it sewn together. And then these pieces are going to be the outside of the mask. Now let's go to the sewing machine.